Hello and welcome. I am Exit Light, and this is my podcast. Um, so, hello everyone. How are you guys?
I'm fine, thank you.
Today, we are going to talk about people who have gone missing without a trace, people who have gone missing but showed up and had bizarre explanation for what happened to them, and some very strange, unexplained deaths. So, turn your lights off, get your blanket, snuggle in.
Get some popcorn.
Yeah, let's start talking about very scary topics. And / don't go to a national forest. So, you're doing good, Rob?
I'm really looking forward to this one.
Well, I am too. This is one of my favorite topics. So, I'm excited. If you guys, I'm going to go ahead and say this right off the bat and then again at the end. If you're not already subscribed and you are currently listening to this on my channel instead of the live stream, please subscribe. Also, please give this video a thumbs up as you come in, you guys. And for those of you listening, please give this video a thumbs up. It's totally free. You can get your money back if you don't like it. And ring that bell so that you can be notified when my content goes live or we have a podcast. That is free as well.
You won't regret it.
You won't regret it. And if you do, like I said, you can get your money back.
Can I get my money?
You can get your money back too, but you're getting paid in. I love you, Rob.
Okay, thank you.
If you feel in the kindness of your heart that you would like to support this channel, please consider doing so through Patreon. And I want to take the time out to say that Victor Lyons TV is my literally biggest supporter, who gives to my channel often, and I cannot express enough how much that means. I'm having a little bit of problem with my Teespring. For some reason, there's a problem with my shirts. But you can pre-order the shirt and it will go out when the problem is fixed. If you would like to head on over to Teespring. And when moderator Maya comes home, she will put the links down below. All right. Is there anything else that we need to talk about?
No. Yes? Everybody will have to excuse me because I've not long woke up. That's why I sound like Barry White.
Barry White. Nobody minds the British Barry White. I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
Also, Rob and I have groups on Facebook, and when Maya comes in, she can put the links to Rob's group. What's the name of your group, Rob?
Paranormal and Supernatural World.
And mine is
Wait for it. Exit Light.
Exit Light. I'm a genius.
Have you looked on your group lately?
Me? Yes.
There's loads of stuff on there new.
Yeah, lots and lots of stuff. If you guys like paranormal, head on over to both groups. There's a lot of stuff. Rob does a great job of keeping a variety of different things posted every day. And he even talks about like movie releases of the latest scary horror films, and I think you'll like it a lot. So Maya is here. Hello, Maya. That's
Hello,
moderator Maya. And all right, Rob. She says hi. What do you I do want to say one more thing. It might be happening that we will record our podcast. This is news to you, Rob, too, so good morning. But it might be happening that what we're going to do is record our conversations, and then I will edit it, upload it, And by edit, I just mean put the pictures in where they're needed, not edit out conversations, because our weird conversations is why you're here. Maybe not. And then we'll have a premiere where the two hosts can be in the premiere and watch it with you and answer any questions you might have. And that might be coming up. So I'll talk to you about that, Rob.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Do you want to start, Rob?
Yeah. Yep, I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
Go.
Go for it, Barry.
Right. Right. The first one that I want to talk about is really, really famous. If anyone follows UFOs or the sort of UFO incidents that happen, this is to do with a man called Travis Walton. It happened in 1975. Basically, Travis Walton was a forestry worker, and he was abducted from the
Appalachian.
No, Apache Greaves National Forest.
Oh, okay.
It's in Snowflake, Arizona. Does that ring a bell? Have you heard of that place?
I've heard of Snowflake, but I don't know that. I don't know that other thing you said.
APACHEGREAVES. So wherever that is.
I really have. Well, Snowflake, isn't that up north? Well, I would assume it's up north in northern Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, the Walton case received mainstream publicity and remains one of the best-known alien abduction stories. Skeptics consider it a hoax. Walton wrote a book about his abduction in 1978 called The Walton Experience, which was then adapted into a film called Fire in the Sky, which is a really good film. If you haven't seen it, it's a really good film. It's got, I think it's Robert Patrick, if I've said his name right.
Wait, the vampire guy?
No, he was in the X-Files. Sure, his name's Robert Patrick. Yeah.
He was. Could people hear you, Jeremy? Okay, he was John Doggett in the X-Files, and he was in Terminator as well. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Cheers, Jeremy. Thank you. Right. According to Walton, on November the 5th, 1975, he was working with a timber stand improvement crew near Snowflake, Arizona. While riding in a truck with 6 other co-workers, they encountered a saucer-shaped object hovering over the ground approximately 110 feet away, making a high-pitched buzz. Walton claims that after he left the truck and approached the object, a beam of light suddenly appeared from the craft and knocked him unconscious. The other 6 men were frightened and supposedly drove away. Walton claims that he awoke in a hospital-like room being observed by 3 short, bald creatures. I have dreams like that.
Do you know?
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Okay.
Ooh.
Can I just say, by the way, that Snowflake is northeast of Phoenix. It's actually not that far from New Mexico, which happens to be where Area 51 is, by the way.
Roswell.
That's what I meant. What'd I say? Area 51. Don't listen to me.
Yeah. He claimed that he fought with them until a human wearing a helmet led Walton to another room where he blacked out as 3 other humans put a clear plastic mask over his face. Walton has claimed he remembers nothing else until he found himself walking along a highway with the flying saucer departing above him. In the days following Walton's UFO claim, the national... See, this is where it gets a bit, a bit iffy for me. I don't know what you're doing, Tracy, but it is really loud.
Shh. Yeah. Go ahead.
The National Enquirer awarded Walton and his co-workers $5,000 prize for the best UFO case of the year after they allegedly passed polygraph tests administered by the Enquirer. Walton and his mother were described by the Navajo County, Arizona sheriff as longtime students of UFOs. Some ufologists believe Walton was abducted by aliens. Ufologist Jim Ledworth said for 5 days the authorities thought he'd been murdered by his co-workers, and then he returned. All of the co-workers who were there saw the spacecraft. They all took polygraph tests and they all passed, except for one who was inconclusive. Skeptics consider the case to be a hoax, describing it as I can't say this bloody word. Sensationalization. You get the gist. It was sensationalizing on the part of the media, and I'll have to just ignore that.
Sensational. Yeah. I get you.
Yeah. The part of the media, and a put-up job to make money. Now, I've read a lot about this guy. He seems, and I've seen a lot of interviews with him, he seems pretty genuine. They did pass polygraph tests, which are, I suppose it depends on what side of the fence you're on, really, as far as lie detector tests go. But they did pass the polygraph tests. A lot of skeptics said that the polygraph tests were poorly administered, and Walton used polygraph countermeasures such as holding his breath and uncovered an earlier failed test administered by an examiner who colluded. There's a lot of people trying to make this not real and make it a false accusation, basically a money spinning operation for just to make them all some money. But the truth of it is, there was a massive search for him because they did think that he had been murdered. There was a massive search for him for 5 days, and no one could find him. They searched everywhere with dogs, with helicopters, with infrared, like the flare cameras, and they could not find him. And then he just appeared walking down the road 5 or 6 days later. He had his beard had grown, so he hadn't been sort of hiding in a hole somewhere. All his clothes were clean. He was just walking down the road. So what do you think, Tracy? Do you think it could be a hoax, or do you think it could be true?
Well, having seen a UFO once, think it's possible that it's true. He won $5,000. Is that what you said?
Let me just get it completely right. Yeah, it's $5,000.
Well, it feels like that's a lot of time and energy to go through for $5,000, and if he's going to convince the people working with him to back his story up, they're only going to get like $1,000 a piece.
I'll read it to you again. In the days following Walton's claim, the National Enquirer there must be a newspaper, awarded Walton and his co-workers a $5,000 prize for the best UFO case of the year. Now
Oh,
that's $5,000. It must be between them. It doesn't
that's what I
say.
said. So they're only going to get like $1,000 a piece.
Yeah,
I think that's a whole lot to go through for a whole lot of nothing.
yeah.
I don't know. Uh, I don't know if they passed lie detector tests. I'll never take a lie detector test. I'll never take one because they can convict me of killing JFK. I know that I'll fail it. I'm an anxious little chihuahua. So I if they can pass one, good for them. Because I don't no, not gonna do it. So, it's possible, right?
Oh, I believe it. I'm 100% believe it. But
I don't know. I'll give the guy the benefit of the doubt. He's written books and things about what happened since then.
he's wrote a couple of books about it, and from one of the books, they made the film Fire in the Sky.
Right.
He was when they were filming the film. he was there. He was there as an advisor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can't get better English than that, can you? While they were filming the film. There's far too many films in that sense for me. Check out.
As the film crew was there to film the film.
Film the film while they were filming the film.
While they were filming the film,
they decided to film a film. But I would be interested. Anyone in the chat, if they know about the case, what do they think? Do they think that it could be real, or do they think it's a big fat hoax?
Like I said, I've seen a UFO. Everybody here has probably heard my UFO story 100,000 times now. That was my fear. My fear was, oh shit, I'm going to be abducted and everybody's going to think I'm a weirdo. Now, isn't that funny? Not, I'm going to be abducted, period. It was, I'm going to be abducted, and everybody's going to think I'm a weirdo. Not, I'm going to be abducted, and I've heard things about probes. Yeah. No, just straight to, I'm going to be a weirdo, which is obviously clearly happened without the abduction. So, I think it can happen. Here's the thing. There's so many stories about it happening that if you just blindly write every one of those off, I think you'd be stupid, because there's just so many that it feels like it's possible. And I saw a UFO. I could be sitting here saying I was abducted and having everybody go, mm-hmm. Yeah. No. There were 3 little bald men, the ones from Robb's dream.
Well, they get a bad...
Yes?
They get a bad, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh.
Can everybody hear you, Jeremy? Okay, good. Yes, go ahead.
So, yeah, it's probably, Travis Walton's probably one of the most famous abduction cases in general. During the time, you said they were awarded $5,000. A bunch of other newspapers and media outlets offered all their members, not Travis Walton, they offered all their loggers or...
Yeah, they were loggers.
Yeah, they offered the other loggers who were involved, I think, like double that or around that much money to admit that it was a hoax. And all of them stuck to their story and, like you said, passed the polygraph tests.
Really?
Yeah, and Travis Walton himself, he still is continuing. I think just a year or 2 ago, he found some new evidence in the area. A bunch of the trees that they were cutting down and stuff, he found evidence of quick aging, I think it's called, where the rings inside the trees are aged in that area that he was quote unquote abducted from. The trees in that area are aged double past their lifespan, or like double what they should be aged, and that can only happen due to extreme radiation at that kind of speed, because all the other trees in the area are aged normally. And that's some pretty new evidence. I don't know if it's debunked yet or if like that evidence still stands, but it's pretty recent. A pretty recent update in that case. And he's still continuing his story, going to press conferences and stuff. He's very adamant, and I don't think he's not doing a lot of like money ventures. He's pretty much saying like, here's all my evidence. He's not saying, I'll give you evidence if you give me money. He's just got everything out on the table already. So
interesting.
I find it pretty reputable. Yeah.
So you believe that this is a true abduction story?
I don't know if I believe that he was abducted by aliens, but I do believe that he believes he was. Because just like the evidence that presents itself, like with the offer for money, with the polygraph tests, with the extreme pressure of prison, and a lot of things were happening. I think anybody else would have blown it wide open at some point, and for him to continue on his path and just keep presenting evidence, I don't see any reason, anything he'd have to even gain out of that. So I believe he went through something. I can't say if he was abducted or not, but I like the movie.
Interesting. I like the movie too. All right, Rob.
Don't you think that aliens get a sort of a bad rep? With all this anal probing. At least buy you a drink.
What's happening?
At least buy me a drink first. Not that. That's just straight to the sugar, isn't it? Really. Talk about probing later. Bloody hellfire.
I mean, you know how they say, like, when the UFO crashed in Roswell, we got, like, all this technology, like, microwaves and Velcro. Well, I think they also, like, invented BDSM and stuff like that, too.
I can't help me.
We've lost her. Down control. We've lost her.
Oh, no. I just want to explain something to you, Rob. When you are anally probed against your will, you will get a bad rap. It's part of the deal. Oh my God. And they, how do you know they didn't get a drink first? I mean, they don't even remember anything till they got there. They were roofied.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Mad Meerkat says never bend over near an alien. Oh, this went a very Maya said stop the stream, it's gone too far. That went in a very weird direction, Rob. I feel like I know you a lot better now, though. So,
thank you. Well,
Oh, anyway.
What's a bit of an anal probe in between friends?
That's what I always say. I write it on every birthday card. Oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm going to go tell my story now, and it feels like it's not appropriate now. All right. This is weird now. I feel like I can't tell my story.
Hi.
Okay. I'm going to talk about a child who went missing. And this is the Junior Shoemaker story, and I just did a video on it on my channel. But when I do videos on people who have gone like missing without a trace or vanished, I don't really. I try not to infuse my opinion too much on what happened or what, speculate on what could have happened. So I am going to take this opportunity with a few of my stories that have been recent. Two of them are recent disappearances since the summer. This one was a longer one. The disappearance happened in 1984. But I want to be able to get into them a little farther and discuss the possibilities of what actually happened. So this one is about Victor Dwight Shoemaker Jr., and they referred to him as Junior. And his family had gone to his grandfather's home on Short Mountain, which is a wildlife area in West Virginia. They had gone for a family reunion. So in the morning of May 1st, 1994, Junior and his two cousins got up and decided that they were going to go out and play in the wooded area behind the grandfather's house. The grandfather's name is Oscar Wolford. The boys went out and they took their BB guns. And according to their grandfather, this was very, very typical. This is what the boys did. They would go out and say they were going to go hunting. And when they came back, they would tell their grandpa that they had caught their big one. They caught a buck, and they would just go on adventures. He called it when he was interviewed. He said they went a hunting. So the three boys head out, and there was an 8-year-old cousin whose name was Lloyd Wolford, and there was a 9-year-old cousin whose name was Tommy Martin, and then Junior. They'd been outside for about a half an hour, and Junior said that he was hungry and his tummy was growling, and he wanted to go back and he wanted his grandpa to fix breakfast. Well, the other two boys, according to them, they didn't want to head back yet. So Junior, who was 5 years old, headed back to his grandfather's mobile home. And he has never been seen again. Half an hour after that, the cousins, I'm sorry, you guys, I have allergies, so my nose is a little bit stuffed up and my voice is weird. So sorry about that. So the two boys, the two cousins, Lloyd and Tommy, went to the mobile home, told their grandfather that Tommy had headed back a half an hour earlier. Within an hour, they had a search team going. They had hundreds of people. They came from every surrounding state, 6 different surrounding states, to help look for Junior. And the area has, it's rocky. It's got a lot of thick bushes. It has several ponds on the property. There's several creeks on the property. So they called in divers to search the ponds. They searched the creeks. They had helicopters come in with FLIR. And then, as does always happen with these stories. Now, I want to tell you, before I tell you that part, I want to tell you what this little boy was wearing. He was wearing a t-shirt, shorts, and tennis shoes. It was May 1st. So we're not talking about we're not talking about cold weather. But it started raining. A fog rolled in where you could only see 10 feet in front of you. And it was dipping down to below zero, the temperatures. They couldn't find him, even with the flare. And like I said, he's never been seen again. His parents keep his bedroom the exact same as when he was 5, and including the Ninja Turtle bedspread he had. They called off the search after 5 days of relentless searching, and these were people who were used to the mountainous terrain, locals who this area was used a lot for hunting. So the police, they first suspected that he had been shot by a hunter accidentally. But because there was no evidence found of that, no blood, no body, and it's illegal to hunt in Virginia on Sundays, and this happened to be a Sunday, they ruled out that possibility. The boys, the cousins, when they came back, Junior's parents said that they had acted strangely. And when he asked them what had happened, they wouldn't tell him. They didn't want to talk about it. And the family has stopped speaking to each other.
Oh.
One of the families moved away, and they stopped speaking to each other over it. He says Junior's father believes that the boys know something. They know what happened, but he doesn't believe that they harmed him. Both boys were given a lie detector test. Both boys passed. And when the person interviewing them asked one of the boys what had happened, he said he came out from behind a tree and grabbed him or shot him. But who he was, what he looked like, nobody knows. They brought in dogs to search the area. They couldn't find anything. One dog sniffed in the air and made it out to an open field and then walked over to a road. This road, there's only one way in and one way out of this area. One road. So the police department said that they thought it was impossible, that it was a kidnapping because there's only one road. And if you live in an area, I have lived out in the boonies, and if a vehicle drives by, you notice it.
Yeah.
Somebody notices it. So hold that thought. So they said they didn't think there was foul play involved. This dog sniffed the air, went to the road, and then lost scent, which made the locals feel like something happened, that the boy was taken. The Junior's mother says the only thing that's possible is that he was taken off the mountain. The FBI was called in, which doesn't happen unless the police department did feel that something went wrong. Not that he died. They stopped the search at 5 days, but what they did is they brought in the local military to do their training, and the military searched for 5 more months. It was the I think it was the Army and the National Guard that continued to search for 5 more months.
They didn't find anything. Nothing.
Not a single thing. The only thing they found, according to the boy's aunt, was an area where there was 3 rocks set up in a triangle. There was a stick in the middle of the rocks, and 3 what's what I'm looking, logs placed around the rocks. She said it looked like somebody had tried to build a house. The dirt was disturbed. So her theory was that maybe he had spent the night out there. But there was no signs, no footprints, no handprints of a little boy, 5-year-old, he's 5. Nothing. Several years later, yes?
We were talking about lie detector tests. It would be difficult for children to, I think, to have to, to give false readings on a lie detector.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But,
so, in 1997, the FBI released a statement and said that there had been seen a blue truck on that road that day, but the leads didn't go anywhere because the owner of the truck didn't come forward. Keep in mind that in 1994, nobody knew there was a truck. They hadn't announced it. They hadn't asked the owner to come forward. So how was he going to come forward? He didn't even know they were looking for them. Yeah, so, the parents were older parents. They had tried for several years to have to conceive a child. And if Jeremy puts the parents up together, you can see that 20 years later, they were older parents. It's been 24 years now since his abduction. They believe something happened and that he's gone, that he's not on the mountain. So I have to say this. This is one of those cases, as we see in nearly every single case of somebody who goes missing in this type of situation, the weather turns bad. One of the searchers, they were doing 24-hour shifts for searching. During this search, within those 5 days, one of the women who set up a 24-hour search, she was exhausted. She got in her truck to drive home. She went off the road, hit a tree, and died.
Oh.
The weather always goes bad. There's always something. The fact that the FBI was called in, even though the police stated over and over again they didn't suspect foul play. Now, I'll get that in a minute. The fact that the military just happened to then be called in and do their training there for 5 months. Never had before. Never had been training in the backyard of this man. But now they are. Now suddenly they are for 5 months. 2 different forces of the military doing their training, looking for him. No trace found.
It's almost like they're trying to cover something up.
Yes.
That's what I think. It's just almost like they're trying to. It's like, oh shit, we need to get rid of the evidence, kind of thing.
I think that that's what happened with them saying that the truck was there. I feel like there wasn't a truck there, or they would have announced it right then.
Yeah.
There wasn't a truck there, but it would lead suspicions then would be like, instead of what was in there, what happened, what traumatized these boys so badly that their parents got up and moved. And when you live in Virginia, wherever you're born, you stay, you know? and they stopped talking to the family at all. Why? Were they see something so frightening that they can't talk about? Or the thing is that when you throw the truck thing in and say, oh, well, you know, there was a mysterious truck out there, and to think that maybe he was kidnapped. Here's the thing. This is what I think. This is 6,000 acres of land. 6,000 acres of land. It's on a mountain. What kind of a person says, I'm going to go down a road. It's the only road to get in and to get out. Anybody can see me, and I'm going to go into the woods and sit there and just wait and see if any 5-year-old boy happens to pop out of the woods. That doesn't even make sense.
No.
That doesn't make sense unless it was somebody they know.
Exactly.
If it's somebody they know who knows that this is the boy's routine, and they go out every day, like the grandpa says, they go out and they do this hunting thing, is it somebody they know? Or was it something else? Why did they bring the military in? Why did they bring the FBI in? It reminds me of that situation where that 3-year-old went missing, and within a minute, they had the armed forces in there, literally armed.
Didn't they bring the special forces in or something? Or
to the 3-year-old one, they brought the special forces in there, to look for that 3-year-old, and so it just seems so similar in regards to that there's nothing wrong, there's nothing suspicious, there's no body, there's no child. This area was searched for 5 months. Every nook and cranny. There's a man who lives on the property, not too far from them. He has a cabin there. He said that he knows these woods like the back of his hand, and helped in the search. And if the child was there, he would have been found. He wasn't there. And like I said in my video, people will say, who is letting a 5, 8, and 9-year-old go out and play in the woods? And like you and I talked about, Rob, I grew up in the woods. That's what we did. My brother and I would, when I was 5, he was 3, and we'd go out and go on adventures. And I was telling Rob that I actually lived on property where it had been a bootlegger's run, and they had abandoned cars back there from the 1920s. And I found them when I was 5 or 6 years old. So, and I was also telling Rob that we looked for dead bodies. Me and my little brother, Uncle Mike. Possibly that's what happened with Mike. Maybe I scared him into being my Uncle Mike. Anyway, so, and it wasn't unusual. And then as I got older, we would leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning and maybe not even check in until dinner, and then go back out and play closer to the house. But still, when you live out in a rural area, if you live out in a mountainous area, it is your playground. And it's not, it's because it's a different choice doesn't make it a bad choice. And the mother was very protective of this boy, and said the only place that she would allow her son to play without being directly in her line of sight was her grandpa's backyard, because it was way out in the middle of nowhere. All the neighbors know each other. They look out for each other. There was only one access road. Wasn't well known. And it was the only place that she felt safe letting Junior play. And
it's like what we were saying. When we were young and we used to go out and play, say it was a school holiday or something, your mum would tell you to go and play. Just,
yes.
You know, it's not like it's not like today. It isn't like today where you have to be wary of everybody. It was your mum would say, "What are you doing hanging around my feet? Just go out and play."
Yeah, I didn't have the option to even stay in the house. Not that I wanted to, but I didn't have it wasn't an option. I told you, my mom said, if you guys are going to stay in the house, you're going to clean something. And we were like, all right, I guess I'll go outside.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just how it was. And I liked it. I loved it. I grew up, like I told you, practically feral. And so it's not a wrong decision they made. And besides, 2020, hindsight is 2020, right? Yeah. You can say, oh, well, they shouldn't have let him play out, blah, whatever. But the fact is that, they grew up in this area. It wasn't scary. And in 2014, the FBI released a statement and said that at this time, all investigative leads have been exhausted. Well, what were all the leads? What were the leads other than the supposed blue truck? And he said, you talk about a cold case. This is a cold case. So he's not there. The boy's not there.
I can't. We're both parents, and I can't even imagine what that must feel like for a parent.
Oh my God.
To lose, and have no answers.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they found this is as bad, it's horrible. This is hypothetical. Even if they would have found a body, at least the parents could, as hard as it would be able to grieve.
Yes.
And now they're just in limbo. Just what can they do? They just do we grieve this child? Do we, because we'd be 27 now, wouldn't he? 28.
20. He'd be 30. Oh, 29. 24 years ago, he was 5 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. But, no, I can't imagine the pain that must bring.
I can't either, and so likely they're in their 70s. They'll never know, and if you see the pictures of them, it's hit them.
No.
I just can't even imagine. And then because not only that, but then you got all the worst case scenarios going through your head. Although, in 1994, we didn't really hear about many child abductions, but still, you still have all the worst case scenarios going through your head all the time. There was no screaming. The child didn't scream. So, what happened?
We'll never know. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Poor parents.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. And who would think? You just send your children out to. It's a family reunion. You send your children out to play. The last thing on your mind is. Even his BB gun wasn't found. So let's say you'd think they'd find his BB gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
Even if the two other boys had done something, then you would think that they wouldn't have been able to get rid of the body without leaving a trace.
Yeah, and it's possible. I mean, as we've